Welcome to Jared Scott Outdoors. This YouTube channel is dedicated to getting our youth more involved in the outdoors. To do this, I'll be out with family and friends doing all sorts of outdoor adventures. We are in for an adventure. We're summiting a peak, we're looking for fossils, and we are going to be fishing a high mountain lake. Riley, have we had fun?
Yeah, we did.
We have had some fun. We're actually at the end of the day now. We're doing some fishing for golden trout. So where are we? Well, we've actually summited Leatherman Peak, and you've seen that before, and so we're not going to focus much on that. However, when I came and did this a few years ago, we found a handful of fossils. And so we thought this time we're going to come out and we're actually going to do some looking for some fossils. So we hit the peak, we've got some other young men with us, and then we're going to work on looking for some fossils, and then we're going to switch gears, hike up to this lake, which is Pass Lake. I'll tell you what, we have had a long day. Our legs are killing us. However, the fish are biting. So you're in for a good show. Let's get after it. As I mentioned, this week we're heading out to the Leatherman Peak area and Pass Lake. I also mentioned how we'd been there a few years before. So I'm going to grab some footage from our drive-in 2 years ago because it's got to be one of the worst 5-mile sections of road around, and if you head that way, I don't want you to be surprised. What you need is clearance. There was only one steep hill that I put the truck into four-wheel drive for, but really it's just the rocks that make the road so bad. There really isn't much in the way of ruts and such, just big boulders you have to slowly work over or around, and it just keeps going and going. Just when you think you're through the bad stuff as it gets better, it turns bad again, and again, and again. However, as long as you're patient, you can get through it okay, but you really do need to give yourself plenty of time. Even though it was late in the evening by the time we got to the trailhead, we grabbed our gear and headed on up. We planned on hiking about 3 miles, and then we'd look for a place to camp. That would put us in the bottom of the basin with Leatherman to the south and Pass Lake to our west.
Well, we're about where we want to camp, and that's kind of on the fork where it splits to go to Leatherman or to Pass Lake. We'll kind of try to find a place up there to set up camp. We're about, I don't know, we're really close. I don't know exactly the distance, but cool little spot.
Well, we've made it up here to where we're going to camp, which is right at, well, basically, you can see up here, the foot of the trailhead, when you really start getting up there and going after Leatherman Peak. And also, we've got Pass Lake that comes up over that. So we're kind of in a split right here where we can head up to Leatherman and look for some fossils and things like that, or go up and do some fishing, which is going to be both. But first, we're finding a camping area. When I came up here and hiked the peak with my kids, we just hiked from the trailhead. So not a lot of, obviously no designated camping up here. We just kind of went off trail a little bit and found a good spot. Beautiful up here though. Talk about a scenic place to camp. A few of the boys chose to camp out in the open, but the rest of us found some good spots under the canopy of pines close to a little stream, which is also the outlet of Pass Lake. As we look back at the way we had come and all around us, all we could do was be inspired by the amazing beauty of the area. This is just a handful of miles south of Mount Bora, Idaho's tallest peak, so of course you would expect some rugged and big mountains. Waking up the next day, we actually had a pretty lazy morning. Once everyone was ready and we had eaten breakfast, we started up the mountain. The goal was twofold. First, to summit Leatherman Peak with all those that wanted to try. The second part was to look for fossils. The fossils would be about halfway up the mountain, so we could actually look for them on the way up and on the way back down. Now, just in case you don't know, the second tallest peak in the state, which is Leatherman, is known for its loose rock. Almost as soon as you leave the valley floor and start up the mountain, it's a 2 steps up, 1 step back kind of a hike. It's not technical, it's just lots and lots of loose rock. And it's steep. As you can see, it's steep right from the start with just a few areas where it slackens off a little. I want to talk a little bit about some things we've talked about in the past a little bit, but specifically for here on Leatherman, the rocks are terrible. It's just super loose, a lot of loose rock, and so you're going to be slipping and sliding, and the rocks are coming out from underneath you. And so you want 2 things for that. You want to have hiking sticks, for sure, and ideally 2 of them, at least 1, but I would bring 2. I brought 2. And then pretty good shoes. A lot of times when I do these big trips or summit a peak, I'll just wear my tennis shoes, but this specific one, I actually brought my hunting ones because there's a lot more ankle support, just a much sturdier shoe. So just because of the nature of Leatherman and these rocks and things out here, you want to protect your ankles and protect the rest of your body with those walking sticks, because those make you just a lot more stable as things are sliding out from under you. So anyways, two things: good shoes and walking sticks if you're coming out here into this Leatherman area, hiking anywhere on this mountain. As I said earlier, I've already filmed our hike up Leatherman 2 years ago. So if you want some better detail on the hike up, go to our YouTube channel and watch it there. But briefly, let's continue this part of the hike and summiting the peak with this group of young men, as well as a good friend, Eric Sievers. I'll skip through the lower half of the trail and just let you know that it was tough, but doable. Never so steep that you need to use your hands, but with enough loose rock that you usually have to pick your route carefully. Now, I had another buddy coming up behind me that was just coming up as far as the fossils. Remembering back a few years, I didn't think they were that far up from where we'd camped.
Kind of turned into one of those deals, kind of like hunting, when you take somebody new and you're like, oh yeah, it's not too bad, it's not too far, just over the hill, and then you get there and you realize it was a lot harder in reality than what you remember. The spot where most of the fossils are here apparently are a lot further up than I remember, so you just got to keep going up through all this nasty stuff. There's a bowl up on top, and it's kind of a bowl right before you hit the last uphill if you want to go up to Leatherman and work up the big slide slick area there. But anyways, if you're coming for fossils, go further than you think, further than you want. It's steep, it's nasty, but I guess everything good comes with a price, right?
So if you just want the fossils, hike up to where there's somewhat of a bowl, right before it goes straight up to the peak. As far as I've noticed, that area seems to have the most fossils. However, we were going for the peak first. If you look to the east of the peak, you'll see some obvious trails through the loose rock up to the saddle on the ridge. However, we chose to go on the more solid face. As usual, there's pluses and minuses with each route. But I would say if there's several of you, watch out for falling rocks kicked free from those above you. Make sure to hike in a way that keeps everybody safe, because you're going to move some loose rocks.
You made it.
Bang!
I was worried about you.
I appreciate the caring.
There is the top right there.
Life is amazing.
Oh.
Woo! As you can see, the views up here were incredible. Even with the smoke-filled valleys, we could see more than I expected. Of course, we all signed our names to the register, took a few pictures, and rested our legs before heading on down to look for fossils. For now, though, we were just enjoying the fruits of our labors.
All right, I'm up here with the first two young men here that made it to the top. Landon and Riley. We got a couple more, and Eric coming up behind. But first time for Landon here. First time summiting a peak for Landon here.
Actually, yeah.
So it was a good summit. This was a tough one. And anyways, it's fun. It's always further and harder than I remember. Every hike I ever go on, it seems like it's, I tell them it's not too bad, and then you get hiking it and you go, yeah, it's a little worse than I thought. That's how this one was. But anyways, good time. So we, really we're this week wanting to just kind of find some fossils and fish Pass Lake. We'll see if we can get to Pass Lake tonight and maybe even find some more fossils. We picked up a few on the way up. We'll head down though and see if we can find some more. But beautiful country up here.
Heading back down to the area that had the fossils, we did a little looking. However, first I want to point out that the solid face of rock we hiked up to summit Leatherman had hundreds and hundreds of fossils embedded in the rock. While we did find a few loose ones while we were hiking up to the peak, for the most part we just enjoyed seeing the fossils all over that solid rock. I wished we could have found more of these in small rocks that were manageable, and we did actually pick up a few. But we really had to wait until we got into that bowl area to find some that we could actually pack out. So back to the bottom of the slides, down in the bowl, we all spread out looking for whatever fossils we could find. Now there are fossils embedded all over in these rocks, but after finding a handful, you start to ignore the common ones, the ones in too big of rocks, and especially the partial ones. Every now and then we'd find one we liked, and we'd pocket it or throw it in our pack. Then maybe we'd find a better one and swap them out. In this manner we kept replacing them with the best ones. Because of course, when you're talking about rocks, you can only carry so many out. Running into Riley, he showed me a few of the ones he'd grabbed up till now, and you'll notice that they're all different kinds.
I'll just pick this one up. It's pretty cool. Just got a whole ton of little seashells in there. I like it, so I'll keep it.
The ones we really liked finding were those that had no rock around them.
That's a good one.
No stone around it, really.
Yeah, that's a
It's
good
just
one.
kind of coral.
The coolest fossil we found was right here. I think these were horned corals, but as you can see, there are dozens of them all lined up in one solid piece, easily weighing 100 pounds. It was probably a bit too heavy to fit in my backpack, but I sure wished I could have carried this whole thing out. With the long day we already had, Riley and I still wanted to fish past lake, so we decided it was time to go ahead and head in that direction. With the long day we already had, Riley and I still wanted to fish past lake, so we decided it was time to go ahead and head in that direction. That meant getting off the mountain, going back to camp, and then up the other side of the valley. On our way, however, we were surprised to see a handful of bighorn rams bedded up not far from the trail. Of course, I couldn't just walk past them without getting a better look, so I grabbed my camera and slipped in closer. I was amazed that they actually let me get to within 25 yards before they stood up and walked away.
I don't care who you are, that is cool. Ended up being 7 of them, and that front one there, just he was a toad, he was a big one, but that was cool. That was a good way to end this little trip off the mountain. Now we're going to try to hit Pass Lake. We've only got a couple hours, maybe 3 hours total of daylight, and so we got about an hour hiking. Riley and I are going to be the only ones heading up and trying this. Just everybody's beat. We're beat, but you know, we're this close. We want to go give it a try where we've never been there before. Check this out. The lake is up above those rocks up there. There's a bit of a hike, and yeah, we've summited a peak today, so our legs are already just jello. But hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? So we'll keep pushing along, and I'll try to show you a little bit of this cool looking country while we head up there.
We lost the trail for a bit, and so I used my Topo Maps app to verify the direction of the lake, and then actually ran into the trail again later on as we were going around this big rock slide on the left. We thought we'd made it quicker than I expected, as it looked like it'd be just over this ridge of rocks.
Oh, dang. I thought that was gonna be it.
Oh! I was excited. It's gonna be there, and then it wasn't.
Another half mile, and this time it was over the next rise.
I think I can confidently say we might be one of the few people that went and hiked Leatherman and then came down, ate for 5 minutes and hiked way back up here. No breaks. Thighs are cramping. I'm tired and hot. We can take a break and get some fishing.
Gorgeous lake, just like we'd expect, but even better. I think because we earned it today. It's just a beautiful lake, super clear water, and just up here so high. You know, we're really actually here for probably the couple of the best fishing hours possible. We brought our headlights so we can go down in the dark if we need to. So just beautiful country up here, and this is cool. This is really cool.
While Riley fished the lake right where we walked in, I swung around and fished the other side of the inlet on some big rocks. So when Riley and I got here, you know, of course we pulled out our phones, tried to take some pictures and videos and stuff so you can show it when you get home. And you know, you look back and it's just, there's no way you can do it justice. It doesn't matter the pictures or the videos you take, panoramas, doesn't matter. It just doesn't do it justice. And he commented that it's the same up on the peak today. You know, you take pictures, you take videos, it just doesn't do it justice. It doesn't matter what you do up there. Without actually being there, you just can't understand how amazingly beautiful it is. Whether you're up there on the top, right there is Leatherman, or whether you're down here at Pass Lake or another lake, you know, get out here and do this kind of stuff yourself, because this is cool stuff. There were a lot of fish surfacing, and it actually didn't take too long to get a few hits. However, I missed the first ones.
There we are. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, there you are. Golden trout. It's been a long time since I've caught a golden trout. Just beautiful fish. About a 12-inch or maybe 13 inches or so, but we'll get this guy back in the water. After catching that fish and there being a fair amount of action on the surface where I was, Riley came over to see if he'd get more luck here.
Hey, there we are. Oh, that's a little guy. That explains why they were getting a lot of misses.
After a few missed hits, I set the camera down and went off exploring while Riley kept fishing.
Oh, got my first fish. All right, well there we go. There's my first fish for today. They're a pretty fish.
Not long after catching his first one, I heard him say he had hooked into another, and I was able to get there in time to see him at least land his second golden.
That was like an 8-incher, second fish of the day. This one was on a woolly bugger, not a dry fly.
Riley, what do you think of today?
Oh, it was a good day. Definitely a long day. Used all my energy up. I'm pretty beat. Fishing wasn't quite what I was hoping for, but still got a couple, so it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a good way to end the day, and I'll tell you what, today was an adventure. Between hiking the mountain and clear to the top of that mountain, and then fishing, and catching a golden, a couple goldens here, and just all in all, it was just go go go, and it was a good adventure. My neck is sunburned. I'm gonna feel this one. We paid for it, but we had a good time. Today was good times.
Yeah, it was good.
And a good way to end it, just here on the lake, just letting the sun set. These episodes can't be done without your help. You know the drill. Please make some comments, like and subscribe, and I'll keep working on more videos.